I'm not a massive fan of social media. I don't often go there to look at things, but every once in a while I do find something that's quite funky. And there's a tweet I found the other day that I thought I'd share it with you. I put it on my Twitter feed here so that I don't forget. Let's have a look. It's been a few days ago and I've retweeted it. It is here. It's something that was posted by Lost in History, History to Learn, dedicated to the powerful fashion, makeup, people, culture of the 20th century. And they've posted something like this. It's ancient Commodore 64 still being used to run an auto shop in Poland. And I thought, yowza, that's amazing. And it looks quite funky and it immediately caught my eye. I've retweeted it and I did have a closer look at it and I thought, well, that's amazing. What would an auto shop in this day and age do with its C64? I mean, would they maybe keep client records on it, or what can you do with the Commodore 64 besides games? So if it is in fact a business application, I thought it was kind of an interesting idea that if they keep anything that is not related to the internet, so that doesn't need an internet connection to share something. So if you wanted to write invoices, for example, you may have to send a PDF to a client, so that can't really be that. Anything that has to do with sensitive data that needs to be backed up and maybe stored off-site somewhere, can't really be that, because off-the-shelf Commodore 64s don't really do that either. So I was wondering what they do with it. So the thing is, because it's in Poland, the text on the screen appears to be Polish as well, so I can see it says break in some line number, and the dude obviously starts the program with run, as we can see here, and there's a lot of text here that comes up. I can't really make out what it says in Polish here. I don't speak Polish, sadly, but I can tell it's certainly seen a lot of dust, and some keys are indeed being used. So this could be the U key, this is probably the R key, so RU, and then this is an N key, and this is something like perhaps a comma. What is it? Yeah, it's a comma, isn't it? So, and the return key. So those are the keys, and a few number keys I can see are being used more than the other keys. So obviously whatever program is running this is not utilizing the F keys here at all. It also looks like the thing's been on for a while, because I doubt that this floppy disk is still doing a good job. But anyway, one thing that made me slightly suspicious was when I looked at that phone here. I was thinking, well, so even though this tweet was made on the 9th of November 2017, in 2017 who would have a mobile phone like that? I mean, most of us have smartphones these days, and I've not really seen a non-flip-up phone with a keypad and all that. So it's very, very intriguing. I was thinking perhaps this is a photo from 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and it's only now resurfaced on Twitter. Who knows? But anyway, so for days I kept thinking, so if it is an application that we can use still today, perhaps there is a market for C64 apps that are not games in this day and age. And I kept thinking, what could it be? So if we click on comments here, then we can see what's been said on this. Oh, there we go. So we can click on this and then we see the full thread of the whole conversation here, and people just keep commenting on it. And one guy in particular said, well, that floppy disk is no longer working. Another guy posted a link to a video on this, and apparently, I mean, this is the other thing, it looks like a still from a video, and what does the video show us and tell us? And perhaps there's a related article. So I did go away and find out what that was. So this user here, Hubert Lepicki, he posted a link to a video. So if we open that in a new tab, then I was thinking, well, perhaps something comes up, and no, it doesn't actually. It's just a page of a Polish hosting company that says, hey, obviously this isn't no longer working, that link. But of course I didn't stop there, because I really wanted to know. So it turns out the guys posted the link incorrectly. If I just go and copy this link and then paste it up here into the bar, then I can see that he's basically just put a T at the end of HTML that shouldn't be there. And if we take that away, watch what happens. The page actually does come up with a video. And this is so funky. So let's watch this thing together, shall we? See what happens. That was exciting, wasn't it? There's also another article here that's linked at the bottom here. So if we click on that, it goes to a bigger article about that. It's got the same video embedded, and if you put all this into Google Translate, then we'll see that this guy, and there's a few more pictures up here, that this guy is actually running some kind of calibration machine out of it. And I'll leave it up to you to translate this text into English using Google Translate, but the story boils down to the fact that this machine that he used, like a carburetor calibration machine, that would have been too expensive to buy back in the day, in the late 80s, early 90s. And so he had one homemade, and in so doing he also had a friend or a colleague or somebody who's written a dedicated program for him to be used with that calibration machine, and all that was cheaper than buying one off the shelf. Very clever, very clever. I really like that. And yeah, I'll put a link to that, the actual link to that video and to the article in the description of the video. There's a few things that I find very interesting. So first of all, you know, the type of C64 this is. So this is one of the very late models. We can see that here by the fact that the graphics characters are printed on top of the keys rather than on the side here. So it is definitely a C64C of the later production run. So probably one that has the 8502 processor, 8505, 8185 something processor in it. So not the 6510, but the later one that was also in the C128, that type of processor. I did see one on eBay actually, fairly brand new from a upstate New York type of sale. It's too expensive, I didn't buy it. It was about $160, $170. Considering that I bought my 128 a few years ago for only $50, I was thinking, now this can't do that, even if it is brand new. Anyway, so that's one interesting thing. So that kind of gives us the period of when this machine would have been bought. And then if we scroll forward in the video a little bit, we can see what's actually happening on the screen here. And so other than this all being Polish, it requests some kind of value. And I guess this value is coded in a way that it will ask for a numeric value rather than a string value. So that's why we see that error message at the top here, redo from start. And that error message happens when you type in a string instead of a number, when the program expects a number. Very interesting stuff. So I guess the guy made a mistake putting things in. So I guess the thing requires something like, I don't know, 35.7, and you put in hello, and then that'll bring that error. It won't crash the program, it would just continuously query the whatever value that it wants. In this case it's a numeric value. Then we can also see that the program's quite clearly started with run down here. That's very interesting. So it's probably a short basic program that takes one or two parameters and then just starts the machine. Very exciting stuff, very interesting there. Also, the guy is wearing gloves, as we can see in the video, and that means he's sometimes typing the wrong key. So in this case, he's just pressing return while he's on the ready statement, which is then giving us this error message, which is out of data error. And that happens when you basically hit return on ready. When the cursor is on ready and you hit return, then this command is interpreted as read Y, and that's when the error happens, because there's no data statements. So that's another thing we can say about that program. There's no data lines in that program. Very exciting. Other than that, I don't really know what it all means. You can, of course, type this into Google and figure out what the program is asking here. Wigas Sunny, maybe we'll do that quickly here. Let's have a look. So we want to translate from Polish, I guess, into English. And this is asking Wigas Zani blanking, interesting, Diagan. So this translates into quenching vibrations, whatever that is. And here's another one that's called Lossisk Masami. Let's see what that means. That translates to mass bearing. Oh, what a funky program. Quenching vibrations, then mass bearing. And then the last word reads plane, so plasticity. That means plane. So I don't know what that program does. But anyway, it was nice to have a look into that and also have a look at the guy's setup here. I find that very fascinating. I guess this thing here is not part of the setup. That is probably, or maybe it is connected to the C64. I don't know. Also, does the guy have to run the program loaded from disk all the time? I mean, he seems to be doing something, but that could also be achieved by leaving the computer on all the time, because I'm not sure if that floppy is still actually reading data. Anyway, I thought you might get a kick out of that when I'm showing you this. It is, to me, it was kind of fascinating to see something like that commercially being run still today, and I'm glad I discovered it. And there we go. Perhaps when you're in Poland, you could totally visit this shop and say hello, see if that head needs aligning somewhere. In this screenshot we can see that the read head is actually down on the disk, so it is being used. So perhaps, presumably, when the guy comes to work in the morning, he just loads in that program whenever he needs that machine and then just runs the computer. It's just, anyway, my fantasy. Anyway, I thought you'd get a kick out of this, and that's it. Discovering old Commodore things in today's day and age. Very exciting. Join me next time when I'm going to show you how the world's missile launchers are still being run with Commodore PETs. I'm joking, of course. If you like this video, please share it with friends, family, and total strangers, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will see you next time for more Schnick Schnack and shenanigans. Take care.